What are your thoughts? What do you think?
Yeah, when we start applying worthiness to health, we get into a big pickle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we definitely need to separate that. And I think when someone is talking about like fat acceptance or any of those sorts of things, and we're making it solely about worthiness, like, people don't think I'm worthy because of my weight and all of those sorts of things. I think we get into a complete pickle because of course you are.
Yeah.
Like no matter what,
Yeah.
we're all worthy. We're all worthy as human beings. We're all worthy of love. We're all worthy to treat people well and to be treated well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's a separate issue. I think people really get it wrong when they put worthiness and health together. It's not. Disabilities, all those sorts of things, same thing. You're completely worthy, so we can just leave that to one side. Your personal preferences, you do fucking you. If you love it, you continue doing it. If you love sitting on the couch, do that. If you love powerlifting, do that.
Right.
Do whatever you love.
Right.
Then we come to health, which, to be fair, is kind of like fucking numbers and shit, right?
Yeah.
There's no worthiness attached to it.
Yeah.
It's it's like
fact as well.
It's fact.
Yeah, and I think also the thing is that what I don't know about you, but when I look at health, there's all these things that I put as unhealthy. Not only obesity, but there's smoking. You could be ripped. You could have a smoking bod. You could be going to gym 5 days a week. You can be like hitting your PBs, but if you're smoking, like it's not. Oh shit, it's gone off. Give me a sec. What do you think with that? Like, I mean, I'm really hesitant to just blah, but I guess I have to, just because I think it's absolutely bullshit, like what they're telling. And it's also because I've been heavy myself, right? So I know it's not, right? I know it's not healthy. I know that my, if I told you just a day in the life of when I was larger, it's not because of just the size. It was where my mental health was as well, right? So just coming from certain traumas that I've had in the past, I just emotionally was eating, right? But then also where my energy levels were, where my hormones were as well, it was just not good, right? As much as I was sporty, I played field hockey, I played basketball, I played all of that. But then after that, coming to Australia 12-ish years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, there's like burgers everywhere. There's cookies, there's all of this. And I was still active and I was still walking around. I was still like, but it was just, I would sleep for like 12 hours. I would have crashes during the day. So in a way, after now, where I am now, of course, it's still a journey and I'm still trying to get there to a good place mentally. But I'm like, hell to the motherfucking no. Am I going back and saying that I was healthy in any sort of way? And also just from my occupation as well, there's so many things that come with I guess, certain lifestyles that we're ignoring because we're attaching worth to health.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, no, you really need to take care of your health in a certain way, because I have not seen anyone at an aged care and nursing home at a certain size. I'm sorry. These people just don't, you're not getting there at any time, anytime soon. And these things that your life's going to get very complicated, especially once you hit your 50s. Life gets very fucking complicated. And I think that's when now you're like, are we going to still make this political? Can we really just educate people and say, lifestyle, everything is all up there, the same smoking, binge drinking, all of that, it's still up there with obesity. And can we just not start putting levels to what's healthy and what's not and what's acceptable and what's not? Because if you see someone smoking, you'd be like, mate, cut that shit out. That's not good for you. But then if you see someone, I don't know, eating really unhealthily and eating more Western fried foods, we can't say that. And that's something I'm like, why not?
It's interesting. I think too, food is so it can
Touchy.
be so emotionally driven for some people. Their eating habits are very emotionally driven.
Yeah.
And I think that's why those sorts of comments can impact people a lot.
Yeah.
It can feel out of control. I would say most people don't have a way of looking at food in a quote unquote healthy manner.
Yeah.
There's lots of restriction. There's lots of dieting. There's lots of, if I eat this, I'm a bad person. I'm still going to eat it anyway because I am a fucking bad person. You know, like there's a lot of emotion attached to it. Like you said as well, there's a lot of politicizing attached to it. I do think the like anti-discrimination and inclusivity side of things is fantastic, again, with the worthiness, and people shouldn't be paid less because they're overweight, because I believe that's a true stat.
Okay.
We know this about good-looking people. Good-looking people get things, you know, well, not easier, but there's more money. There's there's more opportunity. You know, and a part of this is, look, to be fair, fucking hell, being human isn't perfect, and there's lots of imperfect structures and stuff like that. It's interesting with the health at every size. I haven't looked into this too much, but I think that there's actually like some internal disputes happening with that.
Right.
I think that it's just from the original founder. I think it's gone off on a tangent. I think actually Hayes is now like discrediting her. It's very interesting. Sort of just watched some YouTube the other day, so don't quote me. But it's interesting. You said politicized. I think unfortunately that's where it just gets picked up, and we can create a movement. We also love outrage culture. Everyone loves to be outraged about something as well. So there's that. There's just a whole lot of things simmering around.
Yeah.
I've sort of come a little way from being very individualistic, because I was heading down that path, and I realized actually a client had a great conversation with me about the importance of community and friendships and looking after each other and all of that. And so I'm really swinging back into that. But if I can just go to the individual side of things for a second, like your own experience, you're like, I didn't feel great at all. Just ask yourself as genuinely as you can, look in the mirror and just ask, as in your eyes, and just say like genuinely, how do I like my lifestyle? When I wake up in the morning and the things that I do, how do I feel? Does that feel good? And how do I carry myself? Am I happy with my eating habits? Are they causing me stress, whether I'm under eating or overeating? Maybe we can go there first, rather than worrying too much about the size. Let's look at the lifestyle habits. What's my stress like? Am I answering work emails at 3 a.m. in the morning? You know, what am I smoking? Am I doing? And why am I doing these things?
Right.
Why am I doing these things?
Right.
So potentially just looking at that for yourself and having a really honest look at yourself in terms of what's happening upstairs in your brain, and starting with that. And again, like, let's try and lose the self-worth and the worth. It's nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Just how do you want to carry yourself during the day? And are you living up to, you know, are you feeling fulfilled? Are there multiple things you can't do because of your eating habits or your size? It's like, you know, I have some clients who really struggle to eat out socially because of restricted mindset. Whereas with someone who might be overweight, it's like, Farah, I can't run after my dog. I can't go play with my dog. Like, just have a think about you know, what's happening for you, and then baby step. If you need to baby step, I mean, some people can just leap. Like, some people can leap, but some people just need to take baby steps in a direction that they'd rather be going in.
Yeah. Interesting. I think it's. I think everything starts with good. Like, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So it's like it starts off that way. Then it's like, where are we going? What's happening?
I agree with it so much. And this is where, like, having your own set of values, your own moral compass can be really important, or maybe a family unit. Like, if you've got a family unit, like, what do we stand for?
Yeah.
So you can also look at, say, you know, leaders and go, I appreciate what they're saying here, and I don't really appreciate that, you know, rather than, again, blanket, no, this person's bad. It's like, actually, I've got some good points here, and there's some other points that I don't agree with. Yeah. But we're not being led by a person or an ideology or something like that. I think sometimes we can get really into a lot of trouble when we start identifying with those particular things. Yeah. It's like, is it Rebel Wilson lost a whole lot of weight and people are angry at her for doing that, you know?
Even Adele.
Yeah, Adele had lots of backlash, and it's like, if you attach part of your identity to Adele or to Rebel Wilson and then they change, what happens to you?
Yeah, you feel abandoned. You feel left.
Right.
Yeah.
So how about we work on your moral compass?
Yeah, and I think it's also like people just, like, I don't know, I find it interesting. They're like, oh, she looked better when she was bigger, and it's like, what? Where's? Not saying she's big. It's just people really can't grasp the fact that. And I like how you said their identity is attached to that, right? And I guess that's why we like certain musicians, is because they represent a part of us that we couldn't express, or you're seeing them like, oh, I never thought a woman my size would actually make it. But it's also just crazy how people want to be outraged, people want to be offended, and they'll find any reason to do so. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but I hope the pendulum swings back to like logic, and that, because that's what usually happens in the
Dude,
day.
I feel like it's come back to fucking heroin chic though.